tonight's actual topic, which is sorting out the essential 1980s albums in my collection. And what I want to hear from you guys is, what am I missing? We'll go through that too. The essential 80s albums that I'm missing that you don't see me show because I don't have it. Tell me to get it, and I bet you I will get it because I think, I'm a sucker for being a completist. So I really, I'm going to show you some records too that even like I'm not so hot about, but I just feel if you're going to have a rounded out, real good archive and a great vinyl collection, there's albums that you must have in the mix. So let's start. Alphabetical order. One of the most best-selling essential albums of the 1980s to have. AC/DC Back in Black. This is my reissued, remastered version. And gotta have that. Definitely one to have. You know all about that. Don't need to go through that. Nothing shocking there. I got to make myself a little pile here when I'm done with these. Okay. Next one. This goes out to, I was talking to my son about this the other day. He bought the Andy Funko Pop, Andy from 40-Year-Old Virgin Funko Pop. And I said he should make a picture of it and put it to this background. First album from Asia, 1982. Remember Andy and 40-Year-Old Virgin had this in his apartment. He had a big Asia poster. But in all honesty, I do put this in there because it was a big selling album at the time. The song's Heat of the Moment. Everybody knows that. Only Time Will Tell. If you don't know it, play that and you'll be like, oh, they did that song. And this was sort of a super group of the time. It had guys from Emerson, Lake and Palmer and Yes and King Crimson. So this was kind of like one of the first super groups of all time, if not just the 8. Moving on. We'll do this one first. One of the biggest selling albums of the 1980s. Got to have it in your collection or you're crazy. Bon Jovi, Slippery When Wet. This is an original pressing. I do not have a reissue of this one, but this one is very, very good shape. Looks awesome. You got the guys in the back there. And you guys know about this album. I don't have to tell it. You know all about it. You know all the songs. You Give Love a Bad Name, Living on a Prayer, Wanted Dead or Alive, Raise Your Hands, Never Say Goodbye, Wild in the Streets. I mean, come on, man. Definitely one of the biggest selling albums of the 80s. Got to have that in there. And then I put this one in there too. Argue with me if you want, but it was a huge selling album at the time. So I want to show this one. Another huge selling, the follow-up, Bon Jovi to Slippery When Wet, New Jersey, 1988. And like I said, I'm a sucker here for the shrink wrap and the hype stickers. Got all your songs there. Bad Medicine, Born to Be My Baby, Lay Your Hands on Me, I'll Be There For You. Huge, huge song, which is funny because it doesn't even show those as like, these the one they thought were going to be the big singles, but the other ones were actually. So, produced by Bruce Fairbairn. I got a lot of his stuff in my collection. Engineered and mixed by Bob Rock. Most of you know Bob Rock as being instrumental in Metallica, the Black Album, and Load, and all of Metallica's 90s stuff. Was the producer on that, but also mixed and engineered this album as well. And don't tell Metallica fans that. Another one, big, huge seller in the 1980s. Phil Collins, Face Value. Again, I told you I'm a sucker for these Super Saver series editions. And it's just, cool to have these in the shrink wrap. And as it was, if you would have bought this in 1981, this is exactly the copy that you would have gotten in the store. So a lot of great songs on here. We all know In the Air Tonight. But a lot of other really cool songs on this, like I Missed Again. He does a cover of Beatles, Tomorrow Never Knows. Behind the Lines is a great song. If Leaving Me Is Easy is a good song. I mean, this is good. Like I said, it's not, I'm not going to be putting this on every night and listening to it, but once in a while, if I get the urge, especially In the Air Tonight is one of those like songs where you test out your sound system. When that big drum thing hits, that's where you want to test your speakers and test that everything's working as it should be. So, all right, let's check some more chats here before we go on. Like I said, I'll be checking the chats every few minutes here, but we're going through the most essential 80s vinyl albums in my collection tonight and want to hear what you guys think. Am I crazy for having some of these in there? Which ones am I missing? If I move on from a letter, if I'm on the letter D and you see that I missed something in the C's, you got to mention it to me on here and I'll take your word for it and I'll probably pick it up. All right, let's keep going here. Essential 80s albums in my collection. I just showed this one and I definitely, again, huge seller. 1983, Def Leppard, Pyromania, huge. Photograph, Rock of Ages, Foolin'. They're all there. But the thing that I noticed listening to this the other night is the songs that aren't the biggest hits on here are just as good, if not better. I mean, where's the one I really love? Oh, Coming Under Fire, Too Late for Love, Die Hard, The Hunter. Just so many great songs on here. And this one produced by Robert John Mutt Lang, also known as Mr. Shania Twain, is the producer on that album. And all the essential Def Leppard stuff, including this one, Def Leppard Hysteria, probably even outsold Pyromania, 1987. Has so many, I can't even, I mean, first of all, I can't read it because the print's so small and I got no light in here, but you know all the songs on here. Title track, Hysteria, Animal, Armageddon It, Rocket, Love Bites, Pour Some Sugar on Me. How the hell can I not forget that? All here on this record. And really, Def Leppard has always said with Hysteria that the plan was to do what Michael Jackson Thriller had done, where 90% of the record were hit singles. So they really wanted every song to be a hit off this record, and they got pretty damn close. I picked this one, not their only 80s album, but I think the one that when I go to quintessential 80s albums, I want this one to be in there because the production is just, it's so of the time of the 1980s. And this is Fleetwood Mac, Tango in the Night. And 1987, Fleetwood Mac. You got everybody on the back there. You got Lindsey Buckingham is there at the time. Stevie Nicks is there. Christine McVie. And the rest of the guys. And just such a fabulous album. So many great songs on here. Seven Wonders to me is probably my favorite song by them of all time. And then you have Everywhere, such a great song. Caroline, Big Love, Little Lies. Man, is that a great album. Fleetwood Mac. Now that reminds me too, while I'm thinking about it, I missed showing you guys. I guess I did show you my Fleetwood Mac Rumors 45 RPM. Well, I think I did. Moving on here to essential 80s albums in my collection. Don Henley, Building the Perfect Beast. Obviously, the Eagles didn't release anything in the 80s. So this is as good as Eagles is you're going to get from Don Henley. And you have Boys of Summer on here, which is the only reason why I put it in with the quintessential 80s albums of all time, because of that song. The song Boys of Summer is just so, when I hear that song, I just go 1980s, 1980s, 1980s. But I don't, All She Wants to Do Is Dance is on here. Sunset Grill. So a lot of really good stuff on here, actually. I'm going to listen to this again. Like some Don Henley from time to time. And then with that, wanted to put this one here because, again, tail end of the 80s. I mean, we're just making there before the 1990s turn in, but actually was released in 1989. Don Henley's End of the Innocents has the title track on there I love, written by him and Bruce Hornsby. And there's so many guest stars on here, I can't even think about it. But probably my favorite Don Henley song, and I love when the Eagles do it on Hell Freezes Over, is the song New York Minute. If you never heard New York Minute, just leave here now. I don't care. You can come back. I'll be live for a while. Go check out the song on Spotify or YouTube. Don Henley, New York Minute. Man, that's a great song. Kind of a bummer of a song because it's about, well, I'll let you. Here's another one. Actually, can't believe that I've never owned this and just added to my collection a few weeks ago. I don't know why I had it because it's one of those guilty pleasure things that I just, you know, if I got a buddy of mine over and I'm showing him that Slayer album I have and I'm showing him, you know, uh, my Dio records and my Black Sabbath records, he's going to laugh at me if I show him this. So, what the hell am I supposed to do? But I had to have it. It's a mint copy. I saw it at Second and Charles bookstore. Daryl Hall, John Oates, Rock and Soul Part 1. This is like the greatest hits. I mean, they'd already had a greatest hits album in 1984, was already the greatest hits. So, and every song on here is just fantastic. You know them all. Read that there. I mean, that's crazy. And to hear it on vinyl, original pressing that it just looks like it's never been played before. So pristine and clean. Was glad to have it. And, very nostalgic listening to it. It's fun. All right, here we go. Next, 80s quintessential albums of all time. Oh, please. Play. Journey, Escape. Another one of these, probably one of the top 20 greatest selling albums of the 1980s. Open Arms, Who's Crying Now, Stone in Love, Don't Stop Believing is on here. How can you not have that in your 80s collection? You'd have to be a fool. You'd be a fool. And I'm putting them all in. I'm putting them all in the mix. Even Journey Frontiers, huge seller, 1983. Separate Ways, Worlds Apart, you know that one. Faithfully, Center My Love, After the Fall. Oh my God, is this a great album? So good. This is the exclusive Target limited edition, clear vinyl edition that they came out with a few years ago. And says remastered vinyl from the original stereo master tapes. And also has a bonus 7-inch in here, like a 45 of the song Only the Young, which I love from around that time too. And that, what soundtrack was that on? Hold on, let me try to remember. Sonny remembers, let me know. Vision Quest. Vision Quest was the movie that Only the Young Journey was on. Also, Journey Raised on Radio, just to me, when you think of the 1980s, if I put this record on, just put you right there. It puts you in 1986. You are there. This came out after Steve Perry's solo album, Street Talk. And this has Be Good to Yourself, I'll Be All Right Without You, Girl Can't Help It, Happy to Give. So many great songs on here. Check this. This is a sleeper album. This is one you'd be like, I'm not too sure about that one. I know Escape. I know Frontiers. But this is a Journey one. You got to check it out if you haven't. Raised on Radio. Like, just one of the greatest pop albums ever made. Pop rock albums. And again, you'd be stupid not to have this in your quintessential 1980s albums. This is Michael Jackson Thriller. And this is a first pressing, one of very, very early pressing, because it does not show Michael Jackson as a co-producer. It says only produced by Quincy Jones. Any later pressings after the first run will have a third line of text here saying co-produced by Michael Jackson. So we know that this is OG. This is legit. This is for real. First pressing. I've listened to it. It sounds fantastic. But there are better ones out there. A lot of reissues that they've come out with. You got to do your research. Some are good. Some are really, really bad. So I can count on the original, and I know where I stand with the original. All right, let's get into a few more here. Essential 80s albums in my collection. Janet Jackson, Control. Just got this one on my trip to Saginaw a few weeks ago, over July 4th. Was holding out for. I needed it with the sticker on there. Got to have the hype sticker, and I got to have it in the shrink wrap, or it's just not for me. I'll wait 10 years to get this copy original in the shrink wrap sticker. And but it's got to sound good too. The vinyl could be a little better. I think this only cost me like $9 or something like that. So vinyl could be a little better, but it just looks so cool. I love the look of the shrink wrap and the sticker. Gotta have it. And again, you guys know all the songs on here. What Have You Done For Me Lately? Nasty. Probably my favorite Janet Jackson song, When I Think of You. Another one I had in my collection, have to get it back, is I would definitely put the follow-up in there too, Rhythm Nation 1814 from 1989. Huge songs on that too. I can't, many more hits than the Control album even. So next one that I was the preview image of this live stream tonight. If you saw it on social media, it was my face over this guy's face. Huey Lewis in the News Sports. Come on. This is just like so 1980s. Oh, that's another great soundtrack we didn't talk about. It was Back to the Future. The movie Back to the Future has an unbelievably awesome soundtrack. And just so many great hit songs on here. Heart of Rock and Roll. Heart and Soul, huge. Want a New Drug. If This Is It. Bad is Bad. So many great songs on there. I mean, this is like I said, a lot of these albums I'm going to show just put you there. When you put this on the turntable and you play this album, you're in 1984. I mean, you're just there. You're there. Huey Lewis in the News Sports. Here's one I picked up recently. Now, this is on the cusp. I mean, this is early 80s. This is like 1980. And just as 1980 is beginning, you have Loverboy coming out with their first album. And this is just such a really cool, awesome synthesizers and keyboards and just really awesome like pop rock. The Kid Is Hot Tonight, Turn Me Loose. I'm sure a lot of these songs are on like that Cobra Kai series. I would think so anyway. I mean, I'm sure I wonder if Loverboy ever made it to any Karate Kid soundtracks. That's another great 80s soundtracks. We'll talk about those too. Is Karate Kid. We have Peter Cetera and Rocky 4 soundtrack. Unbelievable. I got to get that in this collection. I got to make a note of that when I rewatch it. Got to get Rocky 4 in the essential 80s albums. Another one here. Just picked this one up recently as well. George Michael, Faith, 1987, I believe it was released. And not, when this was out, I never had it. I never bought it on cassette or CD when I was a kid or anything. But now that I'm older, I went back and listened to it, and especially watching that Wham documentary. Excuse me, that was on Netflix recently. It was at Hulu or Netflix. You really see that the effort and the hard work that he put in to make this debut solo album of his, and the great songwriting of his, and he was a really great artist, George Michael. Always thought he should have replaced Freddie Mercury and Queen. If you think I'm crazy, let me know in the chat. I really think he should have replaced. Next up, one I've always had in my collection, the Outfield, Play Deep, mainly only for the song Your Love. Yeah, right, from the Outfield. 1985 from the album Play Deep. I'm not going to sing it. I'm not going to be caught singing on this channel. There's just no way. But just look up Outfield, Your Love. The second you will hear 2 seconds of it, you'll go yes, and you'll know, and it will put you right back into 1985 FM radio dial style. So that's why I put that one in there. And let's see. We talked about this one. We're talking about Journey. After Journey Frontiers, 1983 and 1984, Steve Perry, singer of Journey, put out the album Street Talk, his debut solo album, and that has Oh Sherry on it, which that would be all that would be needed to put this in the quintessential 80s albums of all time. But it always has A Foolish Heart, and what was the other one I really liked on here? Oh man, I'm gonna have to listen. I'm gonna have to listen to it again. But there are a couple more other songs on here I really liked. Very cool. Very cool, the story behind this, because I own the other albums too. I own all the 1980s solo albums from Journey guitarist Neil Schon. Was putting on a lot of solo records in the 1980s. And Journey's manager said to Neil Schon, he's like, you better stop putting out those solo albums, dude, because Steve Perry, all you're doing is making him want to do one. And when he does do one, he's going to blow Journey out of the water. And then he pretty much did that with the song Oh Sherry. Big, huge hit. Another one I really like. I put this in the mix. Why not? Why the hell not? The album, The Power Station, 1986, I believe. Another super group here. Super group. Features Robert Palmer on vocals. Robert Palmer, known for Addicted to Love, Simply Irresistible. So I should probably have that album in the mix too. I will, if I ever see that one, I'm going to pick that one up too. But this has Robert Palmer on vocals, has Andy Taylor from Duran Duran on guitar, and John Taylor from Duran Duran on bass, and Tony Thompson from Chic on drums, and is produced by Bernard Edwards from Chic, and also features Nile Rodgers from Chic on this album. So the mix of Duran Duran, Robert Palmer, and Chic and Nile Rodgers, it's just crazy. It's too much to handle almost, but it's awesome. It's got the songs Some Like It Hot, Bang a Gong. Very cool album. I like it. I mean, very, like, again, quintessential 1980s, you know, in songwriting and production. But this one, 1989, Bonnie Raitt, Nick of Time. I think a huge, like, Grammy winner. This won like 8 billion Grammys or something like that. And I think the follow-up album did too. But I love this album because of the I love the title track, Nick of Time. Go listen to that. It's just her voice, just, especially on vinyl when you listen to it, she is in the room singing to you on this album. And Thing Called Love, which written by John Hyatt, is on here. Have a Heart is such a cool song. But yeah, check this one out if you never heard Nick of Time, Bonnie Raitt. Awesome album. Next. Quintessential. I don't know if this sold in the millions or this is like one of the greatest selling albums of the 1980s, but definitely an important album of the 1980s is Roxy Music's Avalon. And of course, this is a promotional copy that I have with the hype sticker. I mean, come on, can't go wrong there. But this is a 1982. Brian Ferry, the leader of Roxy Music, came out with this album, and this album really is, for audiophile guys like me, is quintessential to have in the collection, because this is sonically wise, sound wise, mastering, EQ wise, mixed by Bob Clearmountain, one of the greatest audio engineers, mixers of all time, mixes this album. And it's just, when you want to test your, you know, every time I would get a new turntable or speakers or add anything to my rack of, you know, music components, you got to put this album on to really test everything out and make sure everything sounds good, because it really covers every facet of musical taste and instrumentation. A lot of instrumentation going on in here, and a lot of echo, a lot of reverb, stuff that really to test the boundaries of your sound system. And it does that. All right, let me take a little break here. Fago break. All right, we're almost done here. We've gone through about, I don't know, 20 already. The essential, quintessential 1980s vinyl albums in my collection. I need more. I know, but I just segmented them the other day, and I was so excited to show you guys the little collection I had made here of the 80s stuff. And it's not all, I have way more 80s stuff, believe me, but they're not going to make this, which goes in like the ultimate 80s collection. So I'm not going to put like my Ace Frehley solo albums in there. I'm not going to put, you know, as much as Ozzy is important to, you know, 1980s heavy metal and hard rock, I'd rather just, he belongs with his friends in the heavy metal category. Next one. We'll definitely need to get Born in the USA as well back in my collection, just because, like I said, I don't go crazy over that album. I mean, it's great for what it is. You know, it's got a lot of great songs on it, but for me, I love Tunnel of Love a lot more. And this is the follow-up to Born in the USA. Again, it's got the Harmony House sticker on there. It's got the little hype sticker there, still in the shrink wrap, sharp corners, as if I had just bought it in 1987. Here it is, and just so many great songs on here. But my favorites are the title track, Tunnel of Love, and the song Brilliant Disguise. And One Step Up is a great song on here. Just totally went in another direction from Born in the USA. He didn't go and make another like huge arena rock type album with this. He kind of slowed it down, a little more adult contemporary, and I dig that. So I'm love that album, love it. Another one I just picked up. You got to put this. We were talking about Rocky IV, right? We're talking about the Rocky IV soundtrack. It's got to go in there. Well, the masters of the Rocky soundtracks are these guys. Survivor. And this album, Vital Signs, doesn't have any of the songs that appeared in any Rocky films, but it does have probably one of my favorite Survivor songs is High on You. And you'll know it. Go look it up on YouTube or Spotify. Look up Survivor, the song High on You, and boom, you're back in 1986 just immediately. And look at these guys on the back. How could you not listen to their album? These are very powerful and attractive men with mullets. But yeah, Survivor. But the songs they had on the Rocky soundtracks, Burning Heart, Eye of the Tiger. So Survivor. And then they have I didn't put it in this collection because it's not really essential listening of the 80s, but my favorite Survivor album is one called Caught in the Game. And the title track, look up Survivor, Caught in the Game, one of the coolest, heaviest rock songs. And it is actually in my jukebox right here. I do have the Survivor song, Caught in the Game, in my jukebox. That's how much I love it. Essential 80s vinyl in my collection. Essential albums. What am I missing? You got to tell me. What have you not seen yet? Go back, rewind, watch. Got to have this one in the mix. Oh my God. Tears for Fears, Songs from the Big Chair, 1985. You got to have this in there. This probably is the one that I pulled first to put in this whole collection. As Everybody Wants to Rule the World, probably for me, like the most quintessential 1980s song to me. I mean, if you're going to have a movie, based in the 1980s, you're probably going to want to make sure it'd be great to get the clearance for that song to have that in the movie. But also has Shout, which everyone knows that, and Head Over Heels. Oh, I love that song from Tears for Fears. And I love the follow-up to this album. I don't know if I'd put it in quintessential 80s, but Sowing the Seeds of Love is a great album, the follow-up to this one. And that might be my favorite song by them. Next up. I lost the bid on eBay last night. And I'm very mad about it, but that's okay. It was a very mint original pressing in the shrink wrap of Toto 4. Do not have that, and that must go in the quintessential 80s albums because Toto 4 has Africa, has Rosanna, has, all those really essential big hits from Toto in the 80s. But I have this one, which is so 80s, came out in 1988. Toto's The Seventh One. And no real huge hits on here, I think, unless you know the song. The song Pamela is just so great. Kicks off the album. Check that out. Toto, Pamela, if you never heard that before. Great track. Can't Stop Loving You is one of the great songs on here. Anna. And man, is this 80s. It's just so thick 80s when you hear this. It's ridiculous. So I decided to throw it in there. What the hell? Next one. This has to be in the mix for sure. U2, Joshua Tree. Another one of these 80s albums where it sold like 8 gajillion copies. I believe this is an original pressing that I have. And it's in great condition. And I didn't pay that much for it. I am not the biggest U2 fan. I like some stuff, don't like all. I like less than, you know what I mean? I don't like as much as I do. I don't know how I'm saying that. I'm saying it wrong, um, but I saw this and I figured, as a completist, as a guy that wants to have a cool record collection, you gotta just have it in there. You know what I mean? And it's got really good song, and even like, some of these other records that I'm showing, go back and listen to the songs that weren't on the radio 10 billion times. Listen to the songs that you're not familiar with on here, because you're probably gonna see, you know what? I like that one a lot better. And it'll give you new respect for all the songs on this album, not the ones you've heard 8 billion times. Moving on to, I don't even know. Oh, just got this the other day. Um, every time I go to the record store, I see it, the reissue, the remastered version of it, and just haven't pulled the trigger. And it was stupid of me not to, but I'm glad I did, because for a little bit cheaper, I found an original pressing of Van Halen's 1984. And it is in the shrink wrap, and it still has the original hype sticker saying features the single Jump, and you got the smoking angel baby on there. And I don't know if this is, I think they did fix this or they did not fix this. I'm not sure, but when this came out, the sleeve, the back of it was upside down. So there's the front, there's the back upside down. And that's cool. It has another hype sticker on the back, so I had to get it. I had to get it. And that has all the track listing on the back. And there's all the guys there. I think for my next promo picture on on social media, when I do my next stream, I'll put my head on one of these guys' pictures. I'll put my face on Alex Van Halen. So, but yeah, essential 80s listening. Van Halen 1984, Jump, Panama, Hot for Teacher, I'll Wait, maybe one of in my top 5 favorite Van Halen songs of all time, I'll Wait. Check that out. 1984. The album's called 1984. It's got to go in the quintessential albums. Reminds me of that. David Bowie, Let's Dance is another one I need to get. I want to get the remastered reissue vinyl of that. I have it on a remastered CD. And so if I wanted to listen to it right now, I can. But I would like to have the vinyl. I'm throwing this in there because it just sold so many copies. And it's one of the biggest albums of the 80s, and it was just huge, is another Van Halen 5150. So you have David Lee Roth represented in the quintessential 80s albums, and you have my man, Sammy Hagar, represented in my quintessential 80s albums as well. And, another one of these just huge albums that sold so many copies, has Dreams on it, quintessential 80s song, Why Can't This Be Love is on there, Summer Nights, Love Walks In. I mean, come on, it's just monster album. And waiting for it to come out on a single reissue like this one as original. But when they come out with a single pressing of that I can buy, I will have. And moving along, gotta have this. Talking about 80s albums. You're talking about MTV, the heyday of MTV, the heyday of hair metal and glam rock, arena rock, Whitesnake, self-titled album. Some people call it the 1987 album. I like that as well. As you can see here, this one I have is a promotional copy, promotional stamped, and I did buy it sealed. I bought it sealed many years ago. And I did open it, and I listen to it all the time, and I love having it, and it looks great. And man, my man David Coverdale on here. It's just such a great album, produced by Keith Olsen, great producer. Awesome. It's Here I Go Again. Everybody knows that. Is This Love? Still of the Night, Bad Boys, Give Me All Your Love. It's all here. This is one of these like Def Leppard ones, Bon Jovi ones, where like pretty much every song is a hit on here. So it's one you should own. You should own it. You're crazy if you don't. Or another one here I just picked up recently. Just took a chance on it. I see it all the time on eBay and figured if I can find one that is in really good shape, I would get it. And that's Steve Winwood's Back in the High Life. Again, just this is an album that puts you in 1987 with the song Higher Love, the title track, Back in the High Life Again, and The Finer Things. To me, The Finer Things, when you play that song, just really just puts you right back there. And has all the hype stickers and Harmony House stickers on there, and very, very cool. I'm glad I have this one. And the production on it is just sick. Very, very cool. And lastly, to cap it off, essential 80s albums in my vinyl collection is Yes, 90125, released in 1983. A little bit different of a lineup here. It has the guitarist Trevor Rabin on it, and but most known for the song "Owner of a Lonely Heart," and that is, again, just that song alone would put this in that pile because that was such a big, massive hit song of the 1980s, "Owner of a Lonely Heart." But in my 20s, when I was a kid, I didn't listen to this, or my teens, I didn't listen to this, But as an adult, I went back and rediscovered it, and there's just so many great songs on here. The production is flawless. This is a Japanese copy that I have. It's really audiophile quality. And the songs on here are great. Hold On, It Can Happen, Changes, Leave It, City of Love. This whole album is just unbelievable. I highly recommend it. You can't go wrong. And got to pick that one up. Yes, 90125. So, boom, we did it. And we did it in 1 hour. Can you believe it? We went through the quintessential 1980s albums in my collection in just 1 hour.